which is what we're going to do with our Clippers reporter, Young Masuk. What can you share with us about why the Clippers wanted to make this move?
Well, certainly Norm Powell played his way into earning a new contract. He was entering the last year of his deal. Remember when Kawhi Leonard was out for the first 2+ months? Norm Powell played like an all-star as a starter, averaging 21 points a career year. But the Clippers are looking to get more athletic at power forward. You saw what happened in the first round against Denver. Aaron Gordon kind of had his way. Nikola Jokic as well. They needed to get more athletic. John Collins is a guy that Lawrence Frank just said on a conference call with reporters, a guy that they had kept their eye on for a couple years now. He gives them a rim runner, a guy that can be a threat at the rim for James Harden. He gets more athletic power forward, and as you said, it allows them to move Kawhi Leonard to small forward as well. And then his contract comes off the books. So it's a thing where the Clippers are trying to maintain flexibility, not only from 2 years from now, when Kawhi Leonard comes off the books, and James Harden is also aligned with that as well. But they now have a lot of flexibility next summer if another star should become available.
I don't want to talk about next summer because you mentioned keeping your eye on something. What other potential moves for the Clips should we be keeping our eye on?
Oh yeah, Lawrence Frank, right before the end of his availability, said, we are not done yet. They have a 5.3 mid-level exception ready to use. They need a starting 2 guard now with Norm Powell gone. So if a guy like Bradley Beal gets bought out by Phoenix, as many people believe could happen, well then the Clippers would be a nice landing spot for Bradley Beal potentially, because they could slide him into the starting lineup. The Clippers have a history of trying to get stars on the cheap when they are available suddenly on the market. Some of them have been past their prime, like Russell Westbrook, John Wall, or Rajon Rondo, but Bradley Beal would be a nice fit for them. And then also, Lawrence Frank also said they still need another playmaker. You mentioned Chris Paul and a potential reunion. He is out there, but they have a clear need at backup point guard as well for James Harden.
Yeah, you mentioned Bradley Beal, just 17 points per game last season. That was his fewest since 2015, but can still get a bucket for anybody at any time, rather. Young Masuk with the latest
and choose his next destination. For more on NBA free agency, I'm joined by CBS Sports NBA analysts John Gonzalez and Sam Quinn. You guys, let's start with Bradley Beal. Clippers, Lakers, Bucks, Timberwolves, all rumored to be interested in Beal. But John, what do you see as the best fit?
Yeah, all of a sudden, Bradley Beal, whose contract is one of the most onerous in the NBA, people are like, okay, well, if I don't have to pay that salary, maybe he could be useful. There's going to be 2 teams here that I'm identifying, both for Bradley Beal and Chris Paul. And you could even make them interchangeable, but for the purposes of simplicity here, we'll say Bradley Beal to the Clippers makes some sense. They just swapped out Norm Powell for John and Collins. They have a loaded front court rotation in Ivica Zubac and Brook Lopez and now John Collins and Nico Batum, but they could use some backcourt help behind James Harden. They save some money on that Norm Powell deal, around $5.3 million. So once Beal gets bought out, if you can get him for that price, you slot him into the Clippers. The Clippers are a very deep team. They were really good defensively last year. You wouldn't need Bradley Beal to be a monster offensively, or even in terms of how many minutes he'd suck up. You're looking at him being your 7th, 8th, 9th guy. Bradley Beal could do that. Send him to the Clippers.
Yeah, John, you read my mind, right? Bradley Beal was a $20 million player last year, making $50 million. That's totally untenable. But if you're getting him for the minimum or a part of the mid-level, now you're talking about some really good value. I don't think the Clippers would have given away Norm Powell if they didn't feel pretty good about their chances of getting Bradley Beal, right? The Clipper offense, when James Harden went to the bench last year, was a disaster. Whether it was Kevin Porter Jr., Bogdan Bogdanovic, they just couldn't generate bench offense without Harden. You bring in Beal and you can solve that problem right away. They've really improved the front court, like you said, John Collins, Brook Lopez. If you bring in Bradley Beal, like, look, health is always going to be a question there, right? We never know with Kawhi Leonard, James Harden's getting older, but the talent on that roster, you're talking about a potential contender in the West.
All right, I love the consensus here. All right, Bradley Beal to the Clippers, it's a good fit. But as John mentioned, you know, Bradley Beal, Chris Paul, kind of interchangeable in these conversations. CP3 has said that he has, quote, at most a year left in the NBA. Now, the 12-time All-Star has yet to hoist the Larry O'Brien trophy. So, Sam, where do you see the 40-year-old point guard playing his 21st and possibly final NBA season?
Yeah, I think it'll be Phoenix, right? Chris Paul has had the chance to ring chase in the past, right? Last year, I'm sure there would have been contenders interested at the minimum. Instead, he signs in San Antonio because it gives him a chance to start. He doesn't want to just be on a team for the sake of being on a team. He wants to actually play, and I think Phoenix is a really good situation for him. They have all of these shooting guards. They have these younger centers. They need somebody to actually set them up and create these shots. He knows Phoenix. He's obviously been there. He made it in the finals with Devin Booker. Is he going to win that elusive championship with the Suns this year? Probably not, right? But could he go in there, help them be a competitive team, maybe make the play-in, make the playoffs, help develop those younger guys they have, right? Mark Williams, Kaman Malawach would surely benefit from his presence in pick and roll. I think that's a good fit if Chris Paul's priority here is actually like playing real minutes and not just sitting on the bench and trying to collect a ring that way.
Yeah, if he was going to chase a ring, I think that he would have wanted to have a reunion in LA with the Clippers rather than the Phoenix Suns, because as Sam mentioned, they've got a zillion shooting guards. I'm not sure that that's the best fit for him in his final season, but fine. I thought, hey, if you're looking around, and this isn't going to be a team either that has a chance to win a championship this year, but if you're just looking about minutes and trying to help a team that could obviously use a point guard, the Bucks would be a good landing spot for them, because I was looking at their roster today, and so they stretched out Dame Lillard, who obviously has the Achilles injury, over the next 5 years. I thought that was a terrible idea just so they could sign Miles Turner and just cling to whatever hope that they have. And I think it's dwindling that Giannis will just stick around in perpetuity and end his career there. I think it's a fool's errand. However, they need a starting point guard. Right now, as I was looking at this, who's dribbling the basketball in Milwaukee? Are we talking about Kevin Porter Jr. here or Vasily Micic? Like, Chris Paul, for the fact that he's 40 years old, is still going to be infinitely better as an option next to Giannis Antetokounmpo than any of those guys. Now, I don't know that I necessarily want that for poor Chris Paul, because you're going to be in basketball purgatory in Milwaukee, but that's a potential landing spot as well if he doesn't go to Phoenix.
Hey, it's a great basketball fit. He has said he wants to stay close to LA, close to home, close to his family, but we'll see how it all shakes out. Another guy, though, who mentioned he wants to stay on the West Coast, Russell Westbrook. He's reportedly eager to find a team closer to home in free agency, but you've got to think it's unlikely he'll end up in LA. So, John, do you see Russ ending up on the West Coast, or where is the best fit for him in free agency?
Yeah, great question. The music is starting to come to an end here, and I don't know that there's a lot of chairs left for Russell Westbrook to sit in. I mean, the best spot for him was Denver. He opted out of his contract because whatever deal he gets next would be more on the vet minimum than he would have gotten paid this year. I get why he did it, but all of a sudden you look around, okay, so the Kings were mentioned, but they went out and got Dennis Schroeder. The Knicks were mentioned. My note here is why, all caps, question mark, question mark, question mark. The Pacers obviously could use a point guard now that Tyrese Halliburton is going to be around, but does he really fit into the organizational ethos in Indiana where it's really do more with less? I don't think that he does. I mentioned the Bucks previously. They could use somebody to dribble the ball. I just think that would be a terrible fit for the Bucks, even though they need warm bodies. I think CPE would be a better option. I just keep coming back to, it's a bummer that he didn't figure out a way to stay with the Denver Nuggets, because he had a pretty good season last year, Madeline. I mean, Joker can paper over a lot of concerns for players and make players look better, right? I mean, Russell Westbrook, previous stops in LA didn't go well. All of a sudden you get paired with the best player, apologies to SGA, in the world in Joker, and you look pretty good. I don't know. The answer is I don't know where he's going to wash up. I don't like